All right, now I hear it. I can hear it on Brittany's phone. So we have sound now. Give me some thumbs up and some hearts if you're ready to get started today. We are going to be talking about blind tunnel entries. Before I get on that, we'll just give everybody a chance to get on the call. Sometimes people have to leave and come back to get the sound. So I just wanted to mention our podcast from last week. We still do have a podcast in addition to this live Facebook show. It's episode 160, and it is how to work through mistakes in your agility training. It's actually very similar to some of the things we discussed on our live program 2 or 3 weeks ago, where we talked about speed, drive, and motivation, and how to get the best out of your dog. So give me a heart if you've listened to that, and if you haven't, check it out. It's a really good one. So we're going to be talking about blind tunnel entrances. Now, tunnels are an obstacle that really people usually teach. It's one of the first obstacles they teach. And for the majority of dogs, it's an obstacle that the dogs like to do. But there's one skill that the majority of trainers have not taught their dogs with the tunnel, and that is to find the tunnel entrance when the dog can't actually see it. We doing all right? All right. So we call this a blind tunnel entrance, and what we mean is, if the dog is coming over this jump and going into the tunnel, they have this beautiful view of the opening of the tunnel, and they're just going to jump and go right in. If they're coming from an angle, they can still see that opening, but they're going to bank on the side of the tunnel and go straight through. But as you come to the side, now I can only see a very small sliver of that tunnel opening, and that's all that my dog can see. And if I come way back here, this is a true blind entry where if I'm the dog, I see no part of that tunnel entrance at all. So I have to go on faith that if I start going in this direction, that sooner or later I'm going to see that tunnel entrance. And this is a skill that many people haven't taught their dogs, but it actually is not very difficult to teach, and we're going to show you how to do that now. So the reason that you need the skill, if you do any sort of international handling, you definitely need the skill. You're going to be trapped by judges where if you have to go all the way to the tunnel with your dog, you're not going to be able to get to what's next on course. And that's the kind of sequence that we have set up here for you today for a demo to show that. But in AKC Premier classes, the blind tunnel entry is actually one of the defined challenges. There's a sheet that the AKC put out for its judges listing all the different challenges that qualify as Premier challenges, and they literally call it a blind tunnel entrance, and it's when the jump is behind the tunnel entrance by at least 10 feet, and that's what we have set up for you today, is a little bit more than 10 feet, and the dog has to go and find that entry. So if you're doing Premier classes in AKC and Master's Challenge classes in USCA, this is a skill worth having. And it just opens up a lot of possibilities on course. So we are going to have a demo, a live demo first of Trek. That's your cue, Brittany. We're going to have a live demo of Trek, and let me show you the sequence that we're going to run here. So we're going to start, she's going to start with this cone, and here is our blind tunnel entry. So it's this jump and going into this tunnel. But when they come out of this tunnel, it's a backside to this blue and white jump here. So if Brittany goes all the way up here to help her dog find this tunnel, what are the chances that she's going to make that backside at the end of this long tunnel? Remember, it's a straight tunnel, so at this point, it's a foot race with your dog, right? You are literally racing your dog through open area. And how many of you are faster than your dog in a sprint on the flat starting at the same spot, right? Most of us are not faster than our dogs. So we can't afford to go all the way to the entry of that tunnel and still be able to make this backside. So that's our blind entry. She's going to let Trek go and find that as she comes down here, so that as Trek exits the tunnel, she can do a backside. And then we're going to give you one more look at the blind tunnel, because she's going to take this jump again. She's got the blind tunnel entrance, and she's going to pick up Trek here and go over this final jump. And again, if you went all the way with your dog here, it's going to be very difficult for you to get that jump, and your dog is going to come, you know, halfway through this tunnel, they see this jump right here. So it's a total trappy sequence. And so now we will watch Brittany.
Multiple people just lost.
Very nicely done. So I hope that you were watching. Hold on. So I hope that you were watching when she did that, how much distance she was able to get while her dog was finding that tunnel entrance. So now what we're going to do is I have the same sequence taped with a little bit of slow motion at that critical point where the dog goes and finds the entrance while the handler is able to get into position for the next thing. So I'll show you that with some slow motion, and then we're going to show you how you can teach this skill to your dog. So you can see how far ahead I was able to get so that I am at the exit of the tunnel as my dog is going into the tunnel. All right, so now I have my busy bees in the background changing up the course, and we're going to show you how you can teach your dog this skill. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with a very, very short, straight tunnel. So we want to start with a straight tunnel because this is a skill that is very useful with U-shaped tunnels where you might want to run behind the U of the tunnel. But when you do that, you give your dog two options for the tunnel. And so we just want to simplify it by making it a single option and making it a short tunnel. And then we're basically going to work around the clock. We're going to start off with just having our dog go through the tunnel like they normally would, and then start to add those angles that are going to get more and more and more difficult for our dog. So I'm going to get Miria out, or actually I'll have somebody let her out, and we're going to show you this. Now, Miria has had very little training on this particular skill. That's why we're going to use her. So she might even make some mistakes. Mir! Get! Ah. So I'm actually going to go this way so that you can see her finding these. Good girl, you ready? Ready? Tunnel. Good girl, good girl. So we're going to start with these nice, easy tunnels. Thank you. Tunnel. Good girl. And you can see I'm trying to keep her from knocking my mic, but you can see I'm throwing the toy out ahead of where she's going to be and having it appear on the outside of the tunnel. So now here she actually has to go and look for this tunnel entrance. Thank you. You ready? Tunnel. Good girl. Very good. Very good. Very good. Thank you. Ready? Tunnel. Yes, good job. Very good. And so now on the short tunnel, this is about as steep as we can get. Thank you. Tunnel. Yes, good job. Very good, Miss Mir. Very good. So this is what you can do with your dog. All right. Why don't we have somebody come take this dog from me. Here, go to Papa. There we go. So this is how you can start the training with your dog. It's just doing that around the clock training on a really short tunnel. Now, one thing that I purposely did was I started really close to the tunnel because adding distance is a whole nother skill for our dogs. So I'm going to start really close to this tunnel and work my way around, right? So that I can be here. She only has to go a couple of feet. Even though she has to find the entrance on her own, she only has to go a couple of feet. The other reason that I want to start close is I don't want her to have too much speed going into this tunnel. One thing that you might actually see a dog do, and I'll show you on this side, this is something we didn't know our dogs were doing until we started doing this work. Our dogs were using these tunnel bags to figure out where the entrance was. So you can see here this tunnel bag, there's 6 inches between the bag and the tunnel. We actually saw Miria just go boop and push her nose into the side of the tunnel. So she needs to learn that she has to actually look for that entrance and not just key off of the bag. So we want to do it close at first so that even if she does do this, she doesn't have any speed yet, and then let her figure it out. Then we can start adding a little bit of distance. So now here I am out here. I might take 1 step towards the tunnel and meet my dog over here. I might be way back here at a 45-degree angle, meet my dog out here, and I could be way back here, sending my dog to the tunnel and throwing their toy here. You want to be careful when the tunnel's really short that you don't get so far back that they're seeing this entry, because that's not really fair at this point, and it kind of muddies the picture. Then we're going to take our short straight tunnel and we're going to lengthen it out and work through that whole progression again. So if you do this in a couple of sessions, you can probably do that same sequence that Brittany was able to do with her dog. So the last thing, do we have any questions so far? All right. So then the last thing that I want to show you is Trek, the same dog that you saw Brittany demo with just a minute ago. We actually did this training with her a couple of years ago. Must have been a couple of years ago because my hair is only this long in the video. And she did make some mistakes. So I actually want to show you that footage so you can see that we're just going to make it a little bit easier and then make it hard again, and she's able to figure it out. So here we have footage from a couple of years ago. We're doing the same around the clock stuff. And you can see there she goes around, and that is a really common error. They're coming at the tunnel and they just don't see that opening. So we just made it a little easier. And then we were able to work back to it being harder. So this is a great skill to work on because it's very useful. It's something you can use in Premiere. It's something you can use in international courses. If you're taking online courses where the sequences you're getting are a little bit more advanced, this is a skill that you're going to need. It's not very hard to teach, and it's actually a lot of fun for you and your dog. So I would take this and do it. We actually have a PDF download for you guys. Brittany, if you could put the little image up. It's at baddogagility.com/blind. That's right, baddogagility.com/blind for blind tunnel entries. So if you go there, there's a PDF download that kind of summarizes the training progression that we talked about today. It has the course maps from today, and it has additional course maps that you can set up to test this skill once you've taught it to your dog. So any questions, guys? I'm going to take that as a sign that this was crystal clear and totally made sense to everybody. Give me some thumbs up or some hearts if this is something that you're going to set up and try at your house. All it takes is 1 tunnel, and then you can add a jump tunnel and work this skill. All right. That's all we have for you today, guys. Happy training.